Hey guys, this is Scott with BigONE, of course, our BigONE Tripp. As well, we have Vibin at the bottom, or Chris, and as well, the wonderful Jonathan Fior. He's part of INBC.
Yes.
I'm saying that correct, right? So I'm going to let him start talking about his project. We did have him on previously, but from what I'm understanding, there's some big changes in his actual cryptocurrency project. So.
Yes, thank you. Hopefully this time we won't have issues with the connection, as last time we can have some issues. So, and yes, there has been a lot going on with our project. And right now there's a lot of talk about decentralized science. After we had decentralized science, after De-Sci, which is decentralized finance. Another big thing in crypto, in my opinion, is going to be decentralized science, which is De-Sci. And NMBC has been the first project to actually produce actual scientific research. We started back in 2018, and we've been, even before the term De-Sci, De-Sci, right? The pronunciation. So, and even before this term was De-Sci, yes. Even before this term was invented, we were already doing this. So we started as a scientific project. And right now there's a lot of talk about decentralized science and Web3, which is basically using the chain for storing data. So having like decentralized applications, even websites, traditional application with data on chain. And as we developed a decentralized application to record the data on chain, to record the scientific data on chain, we are kind of bringing Web3 into science. So our huge challenge is to have the scientific community actively using the blockchain for storing data. And this is something that we have to kind of convince them that this is there is a lot of advantages of doing this with respect to using traditional databases. For example, for preprints, there are like preprint servers which are centralized services, and we have to convince them that using the blockchain can provide a much better range of innovation. For example, you can take advantage of the immutability of the blockchain. You can take advantage of the timestamp, which tells you exactly when the data was uploaded, and you know that the data will never be altered. And most importantly, decentralization means that there's not going to be someone who is going to be in control of this data. Like there's not going to be someone controlling the fact that you can upload data, approving your data. It's going to be all decentralized, which means that it's going to be completely an independent project from any form of centralized control. So I can upload my data on chain, any scientist can upload this data on chain, and no one can alter, no one can delete this data. It is impossible, for example, to censor information, so no censorship. And so one big task is to convince the scientific community in using the chain for storing data. And we have been, in addition to developing a decentralized application for this specific purpose, we produced a scientific publication which is currently under review on the +1 scientific journal. So it's kind of fitting because BigONE and the +1 scientific journal. And in this scientific publication, we explain how we did a series of tests for showing that this application has an actual real-world usage for storing data. So we stored a previously published scientific article, which is we stored the text and the images. Then we did several tests storing scientific images. We even store audio and video on chain to see if this is possible. And provided that there are some limitations in terms of size, it is actually possible to store even audio and video on chain. And so we have this publication under peer review on +1, and once the article is published, we believe that this will expose this tech to the scientific community. And so there could be, like, we hope to bring mass usage of this application. And also it's something very particular, because in this is the first publication, for example, which is made by a crypto project, in which we talk about, we explain what is crypto, what are cryptocurrencies, what are coins, what are tokens. We also mention Endymion. We mention also the BigONE platform. So this is the first time that you are going to be mentioned on a peer-reviewed scientific publication. And so we talk about exchanges. We describe what crypto is. And then we also described how crypto, what's the potential use of blockchain technology for biomedical research, for science. And we provide a real-world example of this usage with our application. And it's a very straightforward application. Particularly in science, no one actually has developed an application which allows you to store general purpose data. If you look on PubMed, if you make a search of all the previously published articles, there's just a very few studies on decentralized application. One application only allows you to store, not even store on chain, but to manage geolocation data between research scientists and patients. Another application allows you to store a hash of the data on chain, but the actual data is stored off chain for healthcare data. And that is just smart contracts. There isn't an actual front-end interface. So those applications are very complex, and they're basically are mainly for internal use for hospitals, for healthcare data. And but there isn't really a decentralized application allowing you to store general purpose data, and there isn't like a web-based application where you just need a web browser and a decentralized wallet. All the other application either requires you to register, or it's an iPhone application, but there isn't a really decentralized where you have a trustless environment, meaning that I don't have to share my private keys. I just need a web browser and a wallet like MetaMask, and that's all I need to interact with the application. So with just a few funds on your MetaMask, you can click and you interact with the application with just a web browser, so that it's a trustless and permissionless environment, meaning that you don't have to trust anyone because no one is going to store your private keys. You can use your decentralized wallet, and so it's a trustless process.
That's amazing. So have you had quite a few people reach out to you in the last little while with what you guys have been working on, and obviously the expansion of the idea of this?
Yes, and we like also when we submitted the paper for a publication, we received some feedback by the peer reviewers, by the people reviewing the paper, and many of those were like unaware of this opportunity, and so they were many of them were surprised, and many of them asked us about, for example, many were worried about, there's some regulations for sharing sensitive data. For example, some asked us, how can you manage this aspect, there's sensitive data which must be kept secret, for example, data regarding the patients and stuff. And we said, but we are just providing an instrument. How do you use the instruments is up to you. So we are not here to, I mean, of course, someone could upload sensitive data, but then it wouldn't make a difference if you upload this data to a centralized server or to a decentralized blockchain. So we just provide the instruments, but then it is up to you to make good use of this tech. So it isn't really up to us to find a way to limit or to censor. We just provide an instruments, and then it's completely up to the users to make good use of this tech. But obviously, if someone is going to would upload sensitive data, then it would incur in legal issues, but that would be his fault. I mean, we are just providing you with the tag. So there's like this idea that that you have to like have some kind of control, but with a blockchain you don't really have a control about because that's decentralization. So that's one of the there's like some bad, but there's also some good things, because it means that there's complete freedom to share information and no one can really censor or hide this information. So I believe that this is like a new concept for many people working in science, as they used to have to deal with centralized services where the information has always some kind of control. So,
Vibin, do you have a question for him?
Yeah. So the tools that you guys are going to be offering, are they going to be tools in the sense of an application or a web browser tool, or like how will people access the data that's on chain? And then the second question I wanted to ask is, so let's say that somebody did want to house data on chain, would their chain go on a smart contract, and then would they be sent a transaction ID, and how would this smart contract be altered if their medical records were to update?
All right, so to use the application, it's very simple. You just browse on our web page, and from there is a direct link to the decentralized application page, which is really just a web page which allows you with a simple button to act with the smart contract. So you could directly use a smart contract, but the decentralized, the front-end interface is so that anyone can easily access the smart contract function. So you just press a button instead of manually looking for the specific functions. So it's to provide a very straightforward interface that even someone with no coding knowledge can easily use the application. And then basically what we do is we store the data as a transaction input data, which is a particular space that is in every transaction. So we don't store the data in the smart contract, but we store the data in the transaction itself. So you generate a transaction which contains the data, and you can look for this transaction, and then inside this transaction you can find the text that you just uploaded. And using a base 64 encoding, you can turn images into a stream of text, and you upload them as a stream of text. Then you can decode this text back to image, and you have the original image. Same for video, audio, and any other file. So basically, in this way, you can upload any kind of a large variety of files to the blockchain. And we did some tests, and we discovered that there's like there's a size limit, of course, for each single transaction. And so in the paper, we discover which is the size limit. And within these limitations, you can still upload images which have enough resolution to be usable in science. And if you want to upload larger data, you can just fraction the data in different transactions. So you can potentially upload files of any size. You can just divide the file in smaller chunks.
So I have one other question. So there won't be like a you guys won't be in charge of trying to verify what people are posting or not. You guys won't have any limitation, because like you said, it's going to be decentralized. So the power of it will be is tool to be decentralized. So the user will have to have user interface experience to understand what they're actually looking for. So I like the platform. I mean, for the platform to be decentralized science, I mean, you don't think, I mean, the average Joe Blow guys from the 7-Eleven shouldn't probably be on there searching medical research, right? So he probably won't get anywhere that he wants to get. So I like that theme of it. And then so what will there be I guess when you guys go out and you look for potential scientists to onboard, are you guys targeting different like scientist chapters, or are you guys going after universities, or is it just going to be like a free-based site?
All right. So, for example, for research scientists, when you publish, when you produce some data working in a laboratory, you have two choices. You can either wait for for completing a study, for having enough data so you can actually publish an article, because if you want to publish an article, you need to have enough data for the article to make sense, because it has to be relevant. So if you don't have enough data, but you still want to protect this data before publishing it, especially if you work in large teams where your data may be seen by other people, so you don't want to be you don't want to risk having your data being stolen and the author, your authorship being having other people claiming that your work is there. So what you can do is you can upload this data. Usually what we do now is you can publish this data on preprint servers, which are basically services where you can publish data which is not peer reviewed. So before it's not peer reviewed. So it's called unpublished data. So so we can use the chain for this. So one use of the blockchain is, for example, instead of using preprint servers, we can use the blockchain. We can use our application. Now, the main advantage is that there's not someone which is going to control this service and approve your data. It's completely trustless. So it's completely independent from any kind of control. And also you have a timestamp telling you exactly, I uploaded this data at this specific time. And also you mentioned something important. How can I know that this data, we also need some kind of identity. How can I know, how can we define that this data is really from me and not from someone else? How can we attribute this data to a specific person? Well, we can also identify this data by the specific wallet that generated the transaction. For example, there can be a wallet which is specifically the person, which is specifically the wallet of one person. Like, for example, I have an official wallet, which is my official wallet, and all the transactions, all the data uploaded by that wallet is legit data produced by me. Any other data produced by any other wallet is not considered legit. So even if someone would upload random data, would upload fraudulent data, it would be very easy to know which data is legit, because only the data originated by a specific wallet used by that research scientist, and it can be also a wallet belonging to a specific university, a specific research institution. So we can easily identify the person uploading the data, giving him like a digital identity, which is his wallet. So we can easily provide identity with the blockchain as well. So
yeah, kind of like the ENS process, so where you can just verify through your ENS and things of that nature. So that's pretty cool. And will there be any charges for uploading data or viewing the data? Like, will users have to pay to view it, or will uploaders have to pay to upload their content?
Yes, there's a fee which you have to pay for uploading the data, because it's the cost of the transaction. And but then reading the data is free. You can reading the data from the blockchain is completely free. So there's just a fee for uploading the data. But then if you think about it, you're paying one single fee for having the data stored forever. While with any other service, there might be a time where the server goes offline. So here you pay one time and you have the data stored forever, which I believe it's a great deal. And especially,
sorry, I would say the other benefit to it as well is, like you mentioned, your name is always on it. So if somebody takes your information or the research you've done and tries to apply it to their own and claim it as theirs, you can always go back and look at your data and prove to people that you had this first, right?
Yes, exactly. You can prove that the data was generated at that specific time point and has not been altered since. So you know that the data was originated, for example, in that specific date, and any any alteration came after the original data was uploaded. So you can easily track the data. Even if someone was going to use your data, for example, to alter the data and claim it's their work, you could easily check this, because the original data was created previously. So the timestamp provides you with proof of authorship.
That's awesome. Is there more publications and stuff in the near future potentially, or?
Yes, for example, I was just thinking now that also when you work in a laboratory, you produce data, and for example, there's like a progression. And when you publish an article, you publish all the data you produce at the same time. But if you were to upload the data, you could really track how the data was created. Like day one, I created this data, day two, I created this other data, day three, I created this other data. So you could also create like temporally, it could create like a temporal track of the data, which could be very useful, for example.
Yeah, like a chain of data.
Yes, yeah.
What you're doing. That's awesome. Do you have any other developments in the near future that you want people to know about as well, or?
Yes, I mean, now as we talk about decentralized science, this is the first time that there's a scientific study where you have a token which actually funded the development of the application and the article itself. So you have complete decentralization from the funding of the research to the sharing of the data itself. So I think that this is the first time something like this happened in science. And one of our goals in the future is that we want to create like a decentralized organization funding research projects. So as we grow and we have more resources, we plan to create a decentralized organization where holders will have the ability to make votations on which projects is the best to receive funding, and it would be extremely helpful to have such an organization. And another thing that we want to do in the future is create our own blockchain, like creating a blockchain specifically for scientific data, like with larger block size, so that you can more easily store larger amounts of data, and a specific blockchain for science.
That's amazing to be able to keep that all in one spot too. That'll be huge. Do you have any other questions, Vibin, in closing, or?
Yeah. I just wanted to know, since the last time you guys been on, have you added more to the team? Has the team been able to grow? I know you recently said you guys were able to relocate. Was the office able to relocate as well? Or what's the progression since the last time that we met you guys?
Yes, we are working also locally, as we are based in Italy, and previously we were in the UK, and now we are went back to Italy, and we are working here locally. We also wanted to create, we started like a political party here in Italy, and our goal is to use like blockchain technology to disrupt our economy, as we are now in a stage where crypto is becoming much more mainstream now. Much more people know about crypto. We believe that this could be a right time to create also something that has a political impact in our country. So we hope that we can bring crypto and blockchain into also the public, creating into the finance, right now, there's like, we don't have our own currency like in Italy. We use euro and we are dependent on the central bank. So, for example, Italy cannot issue his own currency. They cannot issue more currency. They are dependent on the euro. So basically, as we need to create more public debt, so we can sell the debt and for euros. So as time goes on, the public debt is going to increase, and every new generation will have more debt. So we believe that a solution for this could be having our own statally issued cryptocurrency, which it is possible, according to the legislations, it is possible to have euros as well as a statally issued crypto, as long as it has only national validity, so that it's not recognized like in other parts of Europe. It's only accepted in Italy, but that doesn't mean that someone can voluntarily accept it, because it's not an obligation. There must not be an obligation to accept it, but you can voluntarily accept it. So no one is stopping you from accepting anywhere in the world. So, but formally, it's only accepted in Italy, but practically it could be accepted anywhere in the world. So we believe that if we create our own statally issued cryptocurrency, we could disrupt our economy, because we could have our own, for example, instead of using taxes, instead of having EV taxes on the people for paying the debt, we could just create our own liquidity and lower taxes. We could provide like loans for the commercial activities to pump the economy. There could be a lot of things that could be done now, as we would regain control of our own monetary system. So, and even if we will not succeed, I mean, even if we will not be able to to enter in the government, we still plan to do many of those things with NMBC. So we wanted to start by integrating NMBC in the local economy. For example, offering loans in NMBC to commercial activities that have some financial issues. We can support them in exchange for accepting it as a means of payment. So we can support you and support your activity in exchange for accepting the currency as a means of payment. And if we can integrate the currency in many commercial activities, we can create a new economy that can also disrupt the local economy. And from there, we will also gain more credibility to propose something, the same model for a statally issued cryptocurrency. So this is kind of our plan. Now we are doing a lot of things, and this is very ambitious, but who knows, maybe one day we will succeed, you know.
Yeah, sounds super cool, man. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. And I'm excited for the future. Every time that we meet up, Jonathan, there's new things about your project and new exciting developments. So I'm super pumped for this and glad that you're part of BigONE and that we get to experience this. And the first for being in a scientific journal as well, and BigONE's name being in there, I think that's amazing. So that's some big news on that end. So I truly appreciate you coming here today, taking the time with me and Vibin. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Is there any message you want to leave in closing before we end our conversation today?
All right, thank you for this opportunity, of course. And it's incredibly tough. What we're doing right now, publish on peer-reviewed journals, is a very long and tough process. But it's worth it, because it's a stepping stone toward creating something that has never been done before. So even if it's very tough, we will never give up. And so we wanted to have an NBC, BigONE name, and all the people that have been working, because BigONE platform also provide great support for our project. We want that to be for the first time mentioned on peer-reviewed journals. So that would be a huge success for us. So right now we are fighting very hard because publishing it's incredibly tough, but we will never give up and until we make it. So
that's awesome. Congratulations. And we will be seeing more of you in the future. I really believe in it. So I'm excited for you guys, and hopefully we can have you in our spaces again on Twitter. Don't be afraid to ever come in there Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 12 p.m. EST, 5 p.m. UTC. So, or 4 p.m. UTC. I apologize, but thank you so much, Jonathan, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Again, thank you from BigONE,
brother.
and have a great day. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.